All right, hey everybody, Bob Chick along with David Baye. We're here at the Phoenix Pro in Arizona, of course. I'm here with my Bob Barker microphone, and we've got a great show here, David. 170 pros, so a full boat. NPC, of course, over 200 with crossovers going to be closer to 300. So some great shows here, and of course the expo doubled in size this year, over 500,000 square feet. So lots of stuff going on here. But we've got a couple of Olympia qualifications up for grabs here, and we'll get into all the classes in just a little bit. But the 212 and the men's open, we literally just got off the stage 5 minutes ago. 212 looked to me like Jose Raymond pretty much in the lead at this point.
Yeah, Jose kind of came and closed the door on everybody pretty early. I thought with Marvin Ward in the lineup, as good as Marvin looked at the Tampa, I thought maybe he'd be in the mix a little bit more here. But Jose came out on stage, and you guys saw on the play-by-play, it was kind of lights out for everybody else. Definitely some good competitors. Tricky showed up looking good. Mark Dugdale was good. Yep. Marvin Ward and Ahmad Ahmad, that rounds off your top 5 in the first call-out. A lot of the guys brought it, but Jose is just too much mass and too much conditioning for everybody.
I thought Jose may have looked better here than I've seen him almost all year. I mean, it's amazing because he's done a lot of shows. Obviously from the Olympia, he's done a lot of the circuit shows out of the country with all the travel. I mean, most of the guys are kind of going down at that point, but damn if Jose doesn't look better to me today than he has probably in the last month.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk with Jose a little bit over the last couple weeks, and he was all business coming into this show. Last year, solid showing at the Olympia, came to this show, and I think he was out of the top 10.
This is the one where Jose got his ass handed to him, and he was not pleased with it. He didn't make up any excuses. He basically says, look, I dropped the ball. I didn't come in the way I should have came in, and I got spanked. That was the first time I've seen Jose out of the finals. I mean, he was out of the mix, out of the money.
Yeah, so he was determined to come in here, get some retribution for last year, and he definitely did it.
Absolutely. Well, the other names in there are also good. I tell you, that 212, you cannot come in out of shape in the 212. You can't rely on size. You can't rely on shape and all that kind of. You have to be in shape when it comes to that 212 division.
Yeah, everybody's showing up in really good shape. In fact, we saw a gentleman, Bola Ojex, came out of nowhere last year at the Chicago Pro, got third place behind Tricky Jackson and Guy Cisternino in a really good lineup, but he was in really good shape. He was just off today, and he fell out of the top 5. You're absolutely right. In the open division, you have some of these guys that are the mass monsters, can get away with it a little bit, but in the 212, you got to be peeled. There's no showing up off unless your name is Flex Lewis and placing well.
Or Phil Heath, Speaking of Tricky Jackson, where'd you guys have him in that lineup? I mean, he looked good, but I've seen him probably a little bit better.
Yeah, they moved him all the way to the outside.
Yeah, not usually the best scenario when you're in the bodybuilding stage. The middle's pretty good. Over here, not so much.
Yeah, so, it's going to be between probably Marvin Ward and it should be with the way the lineups work, between Marvin Ward and Tricky for 4th and 5th. Marvin, he seemed like he was pretty happy when he was sitting next to Jose. Right. He was visibly upset when they switched Ahmad Ahmad and Marvin. Ahmad Ahmad looked really good, though. He's not the biggest guy, not the leanest, but he's got good structure, and he brought pretty good conditioning. So and
he's made great progress over the last couple of years. I mean, I remember it was only maybe 2 or 3 years ago that Ahmad Ahmad was not a name on anybody's radar. He was good, but very thin, kind of 2D. But he's really put on a lot of muscle. He's got great shoulder width, and a name so nice, they named him twice.
And he's a little bit taller for this division too, so that helps. I don't know how much bigger he's going to be able to get. I'd be interested to see what he weighs in at.
I actually have the weights as the guys weighed in the other day. He wasn't at the top of the class, and so it wasn't like he was knocking on the door of Flex Lewis style. You know what I mean? He's got a couple pounds still, and you're right. He is big and wide.
Yeah, I would have guessed that with his height, he was pushing that 212 mark. But if he's got a few pounds to go, even 5 or 6 pounds in this division can make a huge difference with their physique. So look for him if he keeps making improvements to do some bigger things over the next few years.
All right, well, we'll see who sharpens up. Like I say, barring a disaster here, I'm thinking Jose Raymond, the man to beat. And he's going to love qualifying real early here, of course. He's got the whole year, although I suspect that we'll see him throughout the year. Jose, not one to really take too much time in the off season. Let's get into that men's open, David. Now, we just got off the men's open here. They were the last ones on the stage, so this is fresh right now. This thing was wide open. Not a lot of front runners coming in, not a lot of A-list names, of course. Those guys taking some time off now after the Olympia and the circuit shows overseas. So this thing's wide open, a golden opportunity for somebody to take home that golden ticket.
Yeah, and I think Mo Banut did that. And, when I was looking at the lineup here, it's one of those things where, you guys take a look at this lineup and you're like, there's no real superstars. Johnny Jackson kind of used to be in that boat, but there's no real superstars. But what you also get with that is exactly what you said. You get an opportunity for somebody to come in and make their mark. And Mo's done pretty good in the past, but he really, his conditioning is ridiculous. And I said on the play-by-play, I really hope you guys can see in pictures just how shredded this guy is. Vascular, dry. And despite there not being any really big names here, it's, as a bodybuilding fan, it's encouraging to see somebody like, what, the door was open, you came in, you took charge, and he's probably going to walk away with the win, and good for him, get an Olympia qualification. He doesn't have the best lines, he's not the biggest guy, but he's done about as much as any person can when you're talking about maximizing your genetic potential, and I think we'll see him as a winner, and again, good for him.
Well, and the one name that did pop up as probably the pre-contest favorite was Johnny Jackson. Kind of his show to win or lose, so to say. Now, of course, he does have the muscle mass to sit there with a Mo Banut. He's also got decent lines. Obviously, he's got a couple of things that, the lower legs and all that. But still one of a formidable opponent, in Johnny Jackson, and a veteran of the Olympia stage probably 10 times over. Give me your assessment on Johnny. Did he bring it here?
We're just not seeing him show up as peeled as he needs to be. His legs, we all know he doesn't have enough quad sweep. When he turns to the side, it's a little bit better. But he just wasn't in the kind of shape he needs to be bringing. And being that, his legs aren't matching his upper body, and his upper body is absolutely ridiculous. His traps, his chest, his back. It's crazy. But he's not in a position anymore where he might have been, 5, 6, 7 years ago, where he could have been a little bit off and still placing. Right. Where he's at, I think his legs are actually a little bit downsized, even though they used to be a weak point. I think they're getting a little bit weaker. So in order for him to get these top placings, he doesn't have any room for error, and he wasn't as sharp as he needed to be today.
Well, a guy that was sharp, and me and the Big Sexy actually did the pre-contest review, and I said then, you never know who's going to come out. This is a great opportunity for somebody to kind of swoop in there and possibly steal one, and then have the entire year to get ready for the Olympia. Was Brad Rowe that guy? Man, this kid looked good. He was in probably the best condition out of everybody, sans Mo Banut. But I tell you what, nice lines, good muscle, great conditioning. The kid had it all.
Yeah, I was really happy to see Brad show up as good as he was. He might have been a hair drier at Nationals, but he was still in. I'm getting picky here, but he looked really good. Really big quads. His legs look great in his side shots. He's going to have to bring up his arms and his upper body a little bit, but he really brought it today. And anybody that knows Brad as far as the industry knows how good of a guy Brad is, and so he's got a few more people cheering for him just because of that. And it was really nice to see him show up as good as he did, and really make an impact in his pro debut.
Well, Mike is sitting in second place right now, and anything can happen, obviously, here. We don't have any confirmation. I think these are purely our picks. And your assessment, that could be close enough that it could come down to tomorrow night at the finals, because he is that good, and he does have some better lines. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Other notable names, I see Grigory Atoyan in that first call-out, Ben White. Who else we have in there? Freddie Smalls. Freddie looked sharper, but still not sharp enough.
Yeah, Fred's just one of these guys where he was pretty damn good at the Olympia. I can say damn good, but he's always just a little bit off, and I think Fred's physique is a lot better than people give him credit for, because of the fact that he's always just a little bit off. I think if we saw Fred come in just like really shredded with the type of conditioning that Mo had, or even Brad, I think at a show like this, he's your clear winner if he shows up in really good shape based on his size and his aesthetics and things like that. He never comes in really, really far off, but he's just got to dial it in just a little bit more. And I think at shows like this, he's a front runner at all of them.
Well, one thing he'll be doing is lighting up the stage with his posing. We all know that, so I'm looking forward to that. We got a few guys in the lineup that can actually light it up. Frank Roberson making his return to the stage this year, and another guy, the Texas Tornado, as he used to go by. He'll have a great routine as well. My pre-contest pick for Dark Horse was Pablo Ayala Zayas, and let me tell you something, man. I tell you, he came out. This kid has got it all, man. He's got huge muscle. The legs are actually ridiculous. His upper body, his back, he's got it all, but he didn't bring the conditioning, man. He's killing me on this.
Yeah, he's walking around with as much muscle as you're going to see on an IFBB stage. I don't know if you could pair it almost to a Rami or somebody like that. He's that big, but he's just not bringing the conditioning, and so he
could have won this whole show, David, to me. Because he has as much mass as anybody, including Mo Banut, and has better lines. He's actually put together pretty damn good, but he just didn't come in condition this time. So he blew my pre-contest picks, and now I'm pissed. Yeah. Now he owes me.
He was actually almost even a little bit better in Tampa. I think he was a little bit sharp. Yeah, he was sharper in Tampa than he was here. I agree with you, though. He could have easily walked away with the show had he been in shape, but that had somebody been in shape question, we can toss that around with quite a few guys. So.
Well, ifs and buts, my friend. You know that old thing goes. Give me the rest of the top 5, David. How's that rounding out?
Greg Atoy, they had six. They had 6 guys, so it'll be interesting. I think they had Greg Atoy and Ben White on the outside. Probably the best version of Greg we've seen in a while. Yeah. He still wasn't razor sharp, but definitely better than we've seen him in a while. So, good for him. Ben White, really dry quads. They're slighter than used to be. His upper body looks pretty full. It's interesting to see somebody with his legs as lean as he were. When he turned around, his upper back needed to be a little bit tighter. First call up for him. It'll be, I would probably have him in 5th place ahead of Greg, and with Greg in 6th place. Brad and Mo, were the 2 in the middle, for you guys seeing pictures. But
it almost seems to be the show of would-have, should-haves, and could-haves. Another guy on that list, and I've talked him up for years, On Win. Man, this kid's got a great physique, man. I mean, he literally has it all. He's got the wide shoulders, the small waist, the sweeping thighs. I mean, he's really put together a lot of muscle, but another guy that just can't wring out that last couple pounds. And I tell you, if guys like him and Pablo, I mean, there's your next generation right there, if they can find the magic formula.
Yeah, and people want to talk on the boards all the time about how we don't have these throwback physiques and stuff, and I think On is a perfect example of that. That's exactly what he is. Yeah. He just needs to bring the conditioning. He's got a small waist, good thighs, really full muscle bellies in his upper body, and he's competed a lot this year. I don't know if maybe he needs to take a little bit of time off and just try to focus on a handful of shows instead of jumping on stage as much as he can. But there's so much potential there. There was another guy. Lloyd Dollar, another guy with
another great physique.
Yeah, all the potential in the world, really good lines. He's not that far off as far as muscularity goes. He just needs to bring the conditioning. So there's a lot of potential in the pool of talent, but it's just these guys just got to bring it.
And Lloyd seems to be a tweener to me. He's too big certainly for the 212. I don't think he can get anywhere close, but he's not one of the bigger pros either. So I bet he's right in that 220, 225 range if I was guessing. But another physique that's put together very well. Again, if he can bring it in better condition, another guy that can move up the ranks.
Absolutely.
Well, David, these weren't the only 2 divisions that were here. Actually, all of the divisions were pretty much here. The men's physique. Runaway to me, Jason Poston just looked absolutely fantastic. Great lineup. I mean, good competition, but he seemed to stick out heads and shoulders above the rest of me.
Yeah, it was, I think, close between Jason, or not close between Jason. I mean, Jason, your front runner. Xavier, you're gonna have to help me with his last.
Xavier Gaydon, the X-Man.
Yeah, he looks
new X-Man.
Yeah, he looks really good. I was really impressed with him. I think he won the Titan show out in L.A. last week.
He's an L.A. guy and a military man at that. So he's full-time military.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed by him. Not a lot of big names in men's physique today, so again, look for Jason to walk away with the win. I'm assuming Xavier's in 2nd place.
Well, every class was huge. I mean, there was 30-something in almost all the classes, so a lot of pros on here. Women's physique also representing here, and a very good lineup. I don't think a lot of surprises there. I think some of the favorites were certainly up there. Tammy Marie, coming off a win, is probably the favorite that's in here, and she was right in the middle. Looks like she's right in the mix.
I think they put Teresita Morales, I think, at the end of everything. Yeah, they had Tammy Marie in the middle for a while. Heather Grace was up there, but I think when they wrapped up prejudging, Teresita Morales was in the middle. So
and she's good. I mean, she's out of New York. Great physique on her, but she's perfect for physique. She's not too big. She's not too small. She's not too ripped. She's kind of right in the middle over there. But the judges seem to definitely like her, and she seemed to get a little bit of love just before they broke the prejudging.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a good lineup for the women. I mean, there was an interesting range. You had some of the girls that were a little bit bigger. I mean, there was a couple girls. I'll have to look up their names.
Well, fitness was also representing. Of course, we won't see the routines until tomorrow. So all we saw was the 2-piece. So hard to get a real, look as to what's going on there. But we'll have more, of course, after the finals on the routines and, of course, the results. But of course, your personal favorites, and I know you follow this stuff extensively, David. Figure and Bikini. Figure was up first. Again, another great lineup there. How'd you see it?
Figure was, I'm trying to look back over these names. Figure was a handful of girls that we've never really seen before. I mean, there wasn't a lot of big names, and as we've spoken, you can look at that two ways. You can look at it, well, there's not any big names in this show, but also as we've spoken before, it always brings an opportunity for the women who haven't had a chance to really, jump into those top spots as some of these shows come out. A girl named Vera Mallet from Memphis, Ivana Ivusik from Iowa. I had Ivana as the winner. Short girl.
Yep.
As we know in figure, there's no height classes. It gets to be interesting sometimes when you see some of these taller girls. But
and I got to give Ivana some credit. She wasn't doing too well on stage, and she wasn't really showing it a whole lot. But because I'm up here, I get to, kind of get a lot of behind the scenes. She was doing everything she could to keep it in. She wasn't feeling good, and she was trying to put a smile on her face. And I was trying to get her to go off stage maybe to see if, but she was a trooper, man. She was like, no, I'm good, I'll stay. And so if it's a win, boy, it's going to be a well-earned one. But she's definitely in the mix. Bikini, my personal favorite, David, of course, and didn't disappoint once again. Boy, these girls just look great. Sarah LeBlanc right there in the mix. Some of the perennial names that we've seen. Bianca Berry was also up there. Any other names that jumped out at you, P?
I picked Sarah when they were doing their walkouts and stuff. I said Sarah will probably be your winner. I mean, just top to bottom, we're getting nitpicky with this division. So
if we're going to get nitpicky, what better to do but Bikini, bro? I mean, who was 144? Boy, that girl, she was right there in the mix, possibly for the win.
Yeah, Lindsay Waters.
That's it, Lindsay Waters. Yeah. Boy, she looked good too.
Yeah. I mean, how they ended up. They had Sarah in the middle, then they had Lindsay and Francesca Lauren at her at the side. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea who Francesca or Lindsay were. Bianca looks really good, a relatively new pro. Alexa Hodling, somebody I'm not familiar with, and
Hodling,
and Urishna Ayala, I don't know if you noticed, she broke out. We see new moves in Bikini. These girls will pull out shoulder bops and they'll look over the shoulder.
We've seen the hip jog.
Urishna did a spin on the way out. Walked out, did a full spin.
Whoa!
Then kept
Look
going.
out!
Yeah, so
Bikini in the house, man. They reinventing the wheel out there. I think Urishna is from Puerto Rico.
She's from Puerto Rico.
Well, there you go. There's your answer right there. Well,
not a Midwest name, Urishna.
No, but she's absolutely gorgeous, by the way. Well, all right, Dave. Well, thanks for that report, man. Obviously, we're going to be back tomorrow, right here at the finals. NPC starting up at 10 a.m. early. Got a little different format here at the Europas, which I personally love. The pros will be out at 2 p.m., so it'll be nice and early. And the finals coming down till tomorrow. A couple of these races, I think, will be decided right on this stage tomorrow. We'll have all the updates, of course, and some play-by-play tomorrow. That's going to wrap things up here for David Baye. This is Bob Chick signing off.